This is the point that all of God's children should really come to understand is we cannot obey. That is not in man that walketh to direct his own steps. You cannot direct your steps in paths of righteousness.
Right.
Try as you might, you cannot
Right.
direct your feet to walk the righteous path.
Right.
That is impossible for a fallen human being to do. And you and I come into the category of the fallen human being. As try as you might, you cannot direct your steps. There must be a force from without, an external power that directs your paths in the way of righteousness. You cannot walk in the ways that David was praying to lead me, Lord, in the way of righteousness for thy name's sake. In other words, there's this pulling. Pull me down the path of righteousness. Because in man we cannot do that. And so because of Israel's rebellion, because of their stubbornness, they wanted to do it by obedience. See, there's also within man, there's this belief, if you want, it's rebellion and it's stubbornness, but there's this belief within man that man can do it. I can do it. I can do it. And along with that is that, and I'm trying to build up to where I want to go to today. As you recall, the rich young ruler, came to Jesus and said, Lord, what must I do to be saved? I don't know if he had a pure motive there, or if he wanted this rabbi, this Jesus, to be proud of what he had done. But he comes up to Jesus and says, Master, what must I do to be saved? And Jesus, knowing all men, going this way, said, well, you know what? Love the Lord, obey the commandments, keep my commandments. And this arrogant, rebellious man, he says, I've done all that from my youth. Got that. Tick that. That's good. And not only that, but I've done it from my youth. I've done it all of my life. I've obeyed all of my life. I have dressed right all of my life. I've worn my hair right all of my life. I've submitted all of my life. I've done that. That's done. What else do I need to do? And so Jesus, knowing where he's at, proud of what he's done, not humble, not saying, Lord, you know what? I think I've tried to do it, but I know I've messed up. It's like, no, I did it. From my youth, I've done it. And Jesus says, well, now you need to go sell all you can. In other words, he gave him a task, an impossible task, because this man wanted to inherit life. He wanted to do to be saved. And Jesus showed him that with man, it's impossible. With man, it's impossible. And so the Lord gave him a task, which the man goes sorrowfully away. Why? Because I can't do it. See, if you want to dress right, if you want to walk right, if you want to do all this, and somehow you think that's going to bring you into Christ, you have not entered into his rest. You have not entered it, and it's your obedience actually brings you into a position of disobedience with God, because you think you can. Humans think they can. I can do it. I can be good enough. I can be righteous enough. I can dress good enough. I can talk good enough. I can walk good enough. But actually you can't. Because every time you think that you've met the standard, God shows you the standard is actually higher than what you can ever attain to. When you think your standard is good enough, God will show you that his standard is even higher. When your obedience is good enough, God will show you his obedience is even good enough. And Jesus said, he goes, you think that when a man physically commits adultery with a woman, he's guilty of adultery. But Jesus said, look, again, I'm raising the bar here. I'm raising it to an impossible level. Because even in our minds, we can't control our minds. You can maybe not act out what you're thinking, but you thought it. You may not actually steal the candy bar because you caught yourself and you stopped yourself, but you thought it. Even if it was just for a brief second. they look at each other. They see a woman, a man sees a woman that's beautiful, and, you know, in just a second, the mind goes astray. And then you got to catch yourself. Women do the same thing. Because it's our fallen human nature. But Jesus said, I'm bringing the standard up to where you can't say I'm not an adulterer, because in your mind, you've already done it. My standard is higher. Jesus said, unless your righteousness exceeds the righteousness of the scribes and the Pharisees, you shall not enter in to the kingdom of heaven. In other words, you can't do it. They were white on the outside. Their righteousness was pure. Jesus called them a whited wall. They had done it on the outside. But on the inside, there's still death and decay. There's still death and decay in all of us. And it's not these whited walls could not direct their own steps and paths of righteousness, because there was something wrong in their mind. And so we still need this Savior. We need to enter into the rest.
That's right.
We need to enter into His grace. His grace is His rest. And Paul said, we have entered in. There came a time Jesus came and brought